position, I want top person put about 70% resistance on it.
Okay.
Bottom, I want to see what you would do to escape. Okay, rewind, do it again. Okay, what's one thing that he's doing wrong on the bottom? You guys can just relax. Does it look, okay, here's another question. Does it look like he's putting a lot of effort into it?
Yes.
Why?
Never got an underhook.
What's that?
Never got an underhook in the first place.
He had an underhook.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best.
His feet
But what do you need to get the underhook? Space. So how do you create space?
Hips up. So you do that and
Hips up,
Yeah.
right? But what stops him from hipping up and then him, the top person coming down with him?
He's laying on top.
He's laying on top. So what we're going to talk about tonight first, to start off the night, is about framing, which is a really important piece of jiu-jitsu that I don't think, John, I don't think a lot of people talk about enough, because it's the same technique, but it'll make it 10 times easier. Okay, so let me use Tim. Thanks, guys. Give me a pick on you guys, but okay. So make sure you can see wherever you end up going. Go over here. Okay, so in this scenario, you guys are right. I want the underhook, right? But Tim's not gonna be nice. He's not gonna let me just get the underhook. If he does, that'd be freaking sweet. But he's not gonna let me do that. So what I need to do is I need to do exactly what you guys said. I need to create space. So in order to create space, I'm gonna do exactly what you said. I'm gonna bump my hips. Boom, right? And then I'm trying to get the underhook, but Tim just comes right back with me. So we need to implement something called framing. I'm going to take this inside hand, and I'm going to put it right on his hip. Okay, this might not be big news to you, a lot of you, like you might have seen this, but I don't think everyone's using it effectively. Next, I need to use this top hand. Okay, if I cannot get the underhook, I can't leave it here. I can't leave it here, I can't leave it here. This is all submissions. Okay, what I need to do is I need to bring it under his chin. And if you got to come on this side so you can see, move around a little bit. Okay, so I bring this under his chin and I grab the far shoulder. My elbow on this side is on his other shoulder. Okay, and look what I'm doing with this top hand. I'm framing him here. So I'm framing him with my top hand and I'm framing him with my hip hand. Now, when I bump up to create space, I have a framing hand here and I have a framing hand on his hips so that when I hip out, his hips do not follow me, and he stays high, so that I have space. So, I think the problem that people have with framing, and I noticed this morning in morning class, guys bump up, and then they come right back down with the frame. The whole point of the frame is to create space and control your opponent, so that he's playing on your time, and you're not playing on his time. That's what your framing does. So when I bump, my hands stay there. My hand stays in his hip. So when I hip out and move my body, see how my hands stay there? Now look at how much space I have. Now look at how easy it is for me to get the underhook. Okay, and it's no more effort. It's less effort because it only took one bridge and one underhook. Or one bridge and one bump. So now I take this top framing hand, I swim it under, and I got my underhook. Right? So, one more time. When we're in here, I'm in a pretty bad position, actually. Not the best position. He's closed off a lot of distance. I don't have a ton of options. All I really have is underhook or out the back. Okay, but in order to do those, I need to create space, like you guys said. In order to create space, I need to bump my hips, but I also need to frame him to keep that space. Otherwise, if I hip out, Tim's just going to follow me all day long. If I bump, he comes with me. So, framing in his hip on this side. And I'm not framing where it's like too deep, right, where I'm bending at the elbow. I frame right about here. This goes right on his hip bone. Because when he pushes in, it's framing through my shoulder, which hits the ground. So I got a nice, really solid base. Okay? So I'm here. So if he pushes in with his hip on this side, push on your hip, it's not going in, right? I'm doing zero effort, and he's pushing nice and hard, and he's not getting any closer to me. So bottom one comes under, grabs the shoulder, tucks the elbow under. Okay, now, and notice I'm not just flat on my back. I never want to be flat on my back. If I can get on my side, that's best. So now I'm going to bridge up into him, and I'm framing with my arm across his neck, arm on his hip, and now I'm going to hip out. But notice how my arms do not move. They stay there. Versus this. Up, and then come back down with it. Up, keep your frame, hip out. Now I got tons of space to swim that arm under and get my underhook. Okay, and then from there he's got his moves, I got my moves, right? But I want to just first focus on this concept of framing. So what I want you to do is get with a partner, and I want you to just practice that. Without Timami, you're in here, this on the hip, this comes in, bridge up, frame, move away, keep those hands there. Okay, then you're going to frame, and you can either sneak out the back, or if you do it in side control, you can thread the needle and belly out. Whatever you want to do, but let's partner up and let's start with that. Right.